Well, the crop is not up in this field, but it is up in a lot of our fields. And you know what? We're done planting now. We're actually done with a lot of our spraying. So it's time to start tiling again. And a lot of people are asking, oh boy, if you're gonna tile in standing crop, doesn't that really hurt your crop? Don't you tear it up a lot? I don't really know if I wanna do that. So we'll talk through that a little today.
It was kind of interesting. We did a lot of tiling last year in standing crop, and there were a lot of people that were looking as they drove by and thought, man, what are those guys doing out there? But really, it didn't hurt us that much at all. Yes, there were spots where it ran over just a little bit, but really going right down our 30-inch rows, we did a pretty nice job leaving the crop intact and getting some work done at a time of the year where you say, man, what am I gonna do now? I got my spraying done, everything's in the ground. Hey, we've got time for tiling, and it's a job that pays well over $100 an hour.
Yep, the biggest thing and the main reason why we want to get this done now is it's a whole lot more fun tiling when it's nice and warm out on a day like today. Things are relatively dry as compared to when you go out in November. It's about 25 degrees out. You're dealing with water when it's that cold. Then you got frost in the ground. It's no fun at all.
Well, the big thing is, why would you do it now, and how much is this going to cost a farmer?
Yep, here's kind of the way I look at this whole thing. Let's just say, for example, that you wanted to put a tile line in every 50 feet even. Let's use the pattern tile example. Okay, so worst case scenario, if you've got a couple tractor tires out there and maybe your one shank, you're not talking about running down a whole lot of crop, especially if it's early in the year. It'll come back for the most part. But worst case scenario, you might knock down 2-3% of your crop. Okay, is it really that big a deal? If you've got a crop that's worth $400 an acre, 2%, you're talking $8. I mean, it's not that big a deal. And the way that we look at it on our farm, we're not pattern tiling in the summer months. What we're doing in the summer months, we're doing all these fields where we've got fairly good field drainage, and we're going through all the low areas. And you know what grows in the low areas? Not much without tile. So all the stuff we did last summer, you can talk about, yeah, we ripped up a little bit of crop, but that crop wasn't going to amount to squat anyway. I mean, it was 50, 80 bushel corn, so who cares if you rip it up?
It was kind of interesting. We had all these low spots that were wet that we couldn't get into last year, and our dad said, you know what, this is an opportunity for us because we know exactly where we really need the tile.
Well, yeah, we got into them, but we got into them late. And the great thing about tile, in the last year, we put in over 30 miles of tile. It was great. We went through all our worst grounds and got that done. So this spring, when we finished up planting corn, I said, yay, we don't have to go back to 12 fields now to catch the last 20 or 50 acres. That's what we've had to deal with for the last half a dozen years at least. Every year we've got all these little wet holes and you have to farm around it. And then you come back a month later, fill them in, then they drown out, then you have to replant some. It's such a pain. And a lot of guys will take prevented planting on that and they figure their dollars ahead. I don't really look at it that way. The way I look at it is we want to plant that crop for sure. We want to get it approved for tiling, put tile in there, because you know what the low grounds are? Is that your worst ground? Is that your best ground?
In a lot of cases, it's the very best ground you got, because in the dry part of the summer, that's where there's going to be some moisture.
It's your best ground. So why give up on stuff like that? No, you plant that crop right through, make sure it looks great, then have NRCS come out, and as long as your crop's looking great and everything's great with the soil, they'll approve it for tiling, you go tile it, and then you can raise 200 bushel corn instead of 80 bushel corn in all those areas.
And you get a benefit for the next 30 or 40 years. The life of that tile, it's going to be a very good thing for you. So with the tile, you know, we're standing in the lowest of the low spots. I think for elevation on our farm, I don't think there's anything closer to sea level than this piece right here that we're standing
way
in.
above sea level, but yeah, this would be one of the lowest points. Yeah, we actually tiled this field last fall. So, you know, we don't have to do anything in this particular field, but we do have quite a few fields we've got to get to yet. And the only way that we're going to get all this stuff done in the amount of time I want to get it done, which by the way is immediately now, is we've got to tile through standing crop. And like Darren said, you know, we're not super busy at this time of the year. Yes, we have things to do. You always have, you know, mowing the ditches and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but you can put that off.
This is a job that's going to pay you more than $100 an hour. It's going to pay you several $100s an hour. Why would you do those other jobs that, you know, I know they need to get done, but have somebody else do that.
Well, yeah, just as a quick example, on our farm, so we used to mow all our waterways and ditches and everything ourselves. So rather than us doing that, we decided, you know what, we can make really good money tiling. It'll really help help our income. And now we're actually having somebody else come out and do this mowing, and they're actually haying that ground so they get some benefit out of it. So it's a win-win deal for us and for this other farmer who has some livestock.
So there are a lot of good things about doing some tile in the summer. Don't say, oh, I'll just have to get ready so I can do it after harvest this year. That's not true. You can tile in standing crop. And what's our calendar? What's our schedule?
That's what I was just going to say. Here's our calendar on our farm for when we can tile. We don't even think about tiling in the spring. The planting is way too important. We want to get all that done. Once planting is done and we've got all our pre-emerge herbicides on, that's when we start tiling. So on our farm, we'll tile from mid to late May up through probably early to mid-July, something like that. Then we'll start up again right after we get some winter wheat harvested in late July. So literally we can be tiling just about the entire summer and up until fall. And then we'll stop tiling when it's time to harvest, because then we need all hands on deck when it comes to harvesting, because hopefully we'll have a lot of bushels to take out of the field.
Well, tiling is certainly a good thing for fields, but it isn't going to control our weed of the week. We'll show you what will coming up next.